Welcome back to part 2 of the Snow Queen. Gerda and Kay were best friends who lived in neighbouring apartments and shared a beautiful rose garden. They were close, spending most of their time together until Kay was struck in the eye and the heart by shards of the magic mirror. The mirror shards changed Kay, making him mean and cruel, especially to Gerda. He began to bully her and mock her, and lost his ability to see and feel good. The only thing that still brought him joy was the cold, mathematical beauty of snowflakes. Kay ties his sled to a large sleigh during a snowstorm. The sleigh belongs to the Snow Queen, and when she reveals herself, Kay is captivated by her beauty and goes willingly with her to her ice palace. There, the Snow Queen kisses him twice, once to numb him from the cold, and a second time to make him forget Gerda and his former life. She then leaves him to solve an ice puzzle, promising to make him king of the world if he can complete it. The role of cold intellect is a prominent part of Kay's story. He finds joy only in intellectual pursuits, divorced from the warmth of human relationships and the efforts required to sustain them. Kay descends from a caring relationship into isolation. It starts with the cynical delusion of the mirror shards in the eye and heart, as a result of which he sees nothing good in Gerda, becoming cruel and heartless towards his friend. His fascination with coldness relates to losing the warmth of love. He's interested in the beauty of snowflakes, mathematical in their precision. He's also drawn to whatever is big, shiny, powerful, or exciting. But he clearly lacks the wisdom to recognize the danger he puts himself in as a result. If we were to recognize the truly destructive consequences of some of the choices we make, we may well do things differently. But too often we make important decisions on a whim or with very little care or forethought, either for the welfare of others or indeed even ourselves. When Kay does realize his situation, recognizing the Snow Queen, he is smitten by her. But it is merely an infatuation, and certainly not reciprocated by the Snow Queen herself, who merely uses Kay's own desires against him. Through her kisses, he doesn't realize how heartless he has become. Kay is then given an ultimately fruitless intellectual task. The prize is alluring, of course, but a complete illusion, solving a puzzle that will make him king of the world. In truth, Kay can be led wherever the Snow Queen wishes, by means of his unacknowledged desires. This is the reality of our own self-importance and the superficial desires of self-satisfaction. It leads us down blind alleys and sets us impossible tasks. And if by some miracle we do succeed, it can never truly be satisfied. Seeking to be king of the world here is somewhat akin to the demon and his students attempting to mock God in the first part of the story. And a demon is exactly what Kay is well on his way to becoming. Despite believing ourselves to be rational, we are actually emotive, willful creatures, ruled by the heart. Emanuel Swedenborg wrote this: "It should be recognized that the will is what rules a person. Some people think that the understanding rules, but the understanding does not do so unless the will has the same leanings. The understanding accords with the will. For regarded in itself, the understanding is nothing other than the outward form which the will takes, that is, the desires that belong to a person's love. Those desires are what rule a person, for they are his life. If a person's desires are those of self-love and love of the world, then his entire life is nothing else than such desires, nor can he resist them, for to do so would be to resist his own life. Fundamental ideas of truth make no impression whatever. If the desires belonging to those kinds of love predominate, they haul truth over to their own side and so falsify it. Or if it does not fully support them, reject it. If we fail to recognize the reality of that situation, as we often do when we believe ourselves to be rational and objective, then our unacknowledged destructive desires can take over and lead us wherever they wish. Now, in what I'm about to read, Swedenborg talks about the church, but it applies just as much to each one of us individually. A church that begins with faith is controlled solely by the understanding, and the understanding by that which has been inherited, namely self-love and love of the world. These loves induce the understanding to gather texts from the Word which support their desires, and to give its own interpretation to those which do not support them. It is different in the case of a church which begins with charity. So what leads you? Do you consider yourself to be a rational person? Do you really follow the evidence in everything that you do? Are you always in control of your emotions, or are they in control of you?